Discipline. Morale may win battles, but discipline win wars. 5% discipline, all other things equal, is enough to eke out a victory. A 10% discipline event is a time to declare on your greatest foes, as it flips a sure loss into a possible victory. When you start getting into 15 or 20% territory, it becomes practically impossible to beat in conventional combat, unless the opponent really skill issues. A river crossing, into a mountain, 2 decks behind, without a general. So, let's stack discipline, and let's win every battle, ever. Disclaimers, and there are a lot here. Firstly, I am stacking full army discipline here, so no Marine Revolutionary Guard shenanigans. There is a way to get 10% discipline in ideas through some funny same-day abuse trick in Ironman, using the Ironman estates which trigger a new tank to spawn through a revolt, and we're able to manipulate what the ideas are through some shenanigans. If you know what I'm referring to here, feel free to head outside at any point. I heard touching grass is good for you. I won't know personally, I'm a form of confectionery. Anyway, the same day Ottoman estate trick, I'm not going to be doing that. I personally consider that an exploit, although I understand if you don't. And if you want to continue using it, I don't judge you. Furthermore, there's another 5%, 2 different sources. One of the sources replaces a 5% with a 7.5%, and another source replaces 2.5% with 5%. That could be achieved by disabling DLC. I'm not going to be disabling any DLC here, which is going to hinder me with 5% overall discipline, compared to the theoretical limit. Oh, and before I forget, I'm also going to be excluding 5% from being a March. Otherwise, that should be it. Ironman mode compatible, achievement compatible, standard setup. Let's go. Our journey today begins in Gotland. Now, when you do load into Gotland, you have 2 choices. You can either go and stand behind Eric, King of the Kalmar Union, which will give you a way to have a very fun war with Denmark, and if you win it, basically play Denmark. Or you can say that Eric is nobody's king, and at best he's the mayor of Gotland. This is the option we'll be going with. At this point you get a second event. Now here, you could either choose to become a plutocratic republic, or you can go and actually have fun. Fortunately for us, we're going to be becoming a plutocratic republic. No piracy for us. The reason we do this, of course, is for the mission Gotland Trade Empire. This will allow us to get the bonus aristocratic's military focus into the end of the game, giving us 5% discipline forever. This is the reason we started as Gotland. Now go and conquer your way into northern Germany, specifically the Lübeck area. You're going to need to secure Lübeck itself, Lower Saxony in terms of Hamburg and Bremen, as well as getting enough trade power in the Lübeck node, which is visible here. Once you're the major person in the Lübeck node, you'll have access to declare the Hanseatic League. Whether you take the ambitions or traditions is up to you here. The reason you do this, of course, is for the mission Appoint War Minister, which, when completed, will give you 5% discipline if you have a military advisor hired. Now make your way south into Bavaria. Bear in mind that from this point onwards, some of the modifiers we're getting are going to be temporary. So that means that you're going to have to time all of the stuff mentioned here at the same time, otherwise it won't quite work. Anyway, with that out of the way, form Bavaria. Funnily enough, this doesn't actually trigger a name change, and we remain as the Hanseatic League. However, we still get access to the missions, which is what we're here for. The first mission we'll need is to establish a standing army, giving us 5% discipline for the first 20 years. Furthermore, we'll be able to tame Brandenburg for another 2.5 discipline. Unfortunately, since you can only form one German tag, this concludes us for our Germany jumping arounds, for the most part. Our next pit stop, Morocco. I've already gone to the liberty of flipping our primary culture into Moroccan, at which point you will need to form Morocco. We do this for the mission The Black Guard, which when established gives us 2.5 discipline until the end of the game. Ignoring the fact that we're now a very Moroccan-coloured Hanseatic League, we're off to a very interesting place now, a place that no 18-year-old American ever wants to return to. I'm of course referring to Vietnam, or in this case Hanseatic Indochina. Once in Vietnam, we can become Vietnamese primary culture, giving us access to the decision to restore Vietnam, or Dai Viet. We will of course do this to get access to the Dai Viet missions, where you need to take the mission Control the Army for 5 discipline, as well as the mission Subjugate Siam for 2.5 discipline. Now, before we go back to Prussia, there's a couple steps we need to make. First things first, we need to get halfway to Prussia itself and prepare to form Romania. This can be done of course by flipping Romanian, and there we go, we'll now form Romania. The reason we do this is as this kind of soft resets our missions, by giving us access to a lot of the default mission tree, while also not actually blocking some of the other default missions. This allows us to go into southern India and gain access through any formable in the local area of the default southern Indian mission tree, which contains 2.5 discipline from this mission. Since this is a generic mission tree, it won't show up if you form it directly, as it doesn't override the missions of say Vietnam. However, the Romanian missions do overwrite it, allowing us to bypass the override requirements for the generic missions. But we're not done. Now we need the Indian military group. The way to acquire this is rather interesting. First things first, we need to form a certain tag. The tag, of course, I'm referring to is Rajasthan, which you can do by uniting the Rajputs. Again, as always, feel free to take new traditions and ambitions for now. Take the mission Conquer Malwa for 2.5 discipline. Next, pick a culture group that you're going to be switching to later and prepare to switch into that, but not switch into it now. This culture group needs to be from southern India. I would recommend either the Tamils or the fake Canadians. Either way, they both work. Telugu is also a valid one as well. But before we switch culture groups, make sure you flip Prussian, which will allow you to, well, reform into Prussia. Definitely take the new traditions and ambitions here. You are going to be needing the 5% discipline inside of the Prussian ideas. As you may see, this does give you access to Prussian militarization. However, now, when you change your primary culture to Tamil, something interesting is going to happen. We're going to gain access to the Maratha estate. This means that Tier 7 will have access to the permanent Marathas Council government reform, which will, if you see here, enable the Marathas estate privilege Maratha military leadership, which of course will allow us to go to the Marathas and give them Marathas military leadership. At 100% crown land ownership, this will provide us with 10% discipline. Notice that as we do this, we of course retain access to Prussian militarization. Remarkably, that does conclude the tag switching. There are a couple options here, but unfortunately they all ruin all of our previous setup. One of them is forming Russia as our end tag. Russia has access to a permanent 5% discipline in their missions. However, that discipline has a secondary issue. It changes your tech group to Western. This will disable access to the Marathas since they require Indian technology group. Another option would be France, but that requires disabling DLC to enable access to the permanent discipline modifiers there, which I've already mentioned I'm not going to be doing. So now let's talk idea groups. First of all, we're going to need to take quality ideas, followed by economic, and then offensive, with quality ideas giving 5% discipline on the finisher, and offensive ideas giving 5% discipline also on the finisher. Economic ideas provides 5% discipline in the policy. Finally, take a placeholder idea group, I've selected maritime, and then also complete quantity ideas. We're going to need that to pop an event later. On the topic of setting up for events, obviously our ruler will need to be strict for 5% discipline. However, he'll also need the obsessive perfectionist trait. Next, get a discipline advisor at 100% absolutism, as well as 2.5% discipline from Protestantism. Next, get 2.5% discipline from the obsessive perfectionism event, gain 10% discipline from the level 3 mill advisor event, get 5% from the declining army quality event, that's why you need to select quality ideas early, as well as getting a final 2.5% from steady boys event. So for that you will need to be at war. But that does conclude all the possible sources of discipline you can get. So with that out the way, let's get into a demonstration. Here we are, we've given our guinea pig, the English, 110% discipline, which is the modifiers we got this video, and we're going to see if that's going to be enough for them to win the 100 Years' War, which is going to kick off, hopefully, and we load into the game. England will of course not keep this modifier, they will hard-coded to form GB if they're able to, and as such get new ideas, getting rid of this wonderful bonus. Without further ado though, let's get into the game. Okay, so here we are in the game, and we are off. Just to confirm, there we have the English tradition starting with 110% discipline. I decided to keep the infantry compatibility in as well, just for the fun of it. Well, that's not how I expected that to kick off, but France is now defending against the English in the English-Scottish War. England declared war on Scotland, not even waiting for the French. Well, there go the English absolutely slaughtering the Scots. The issue is, of course, is that they do this normally anyway, without the discipline, so it's not much to see here. Unfortunately, that battle was over way too quickly, and I believe this is going to be an absolute stack wipe in 5 seconds. There it is, yeah. So not much of the Scottish army left. Okay, so the English are almost done sieging down the Scots. It actually took embarrassingly long. They kept not blockading Dumfries, which not the greatest military tactic, but there we go. And I believe one of the British armies may be on this boat somewhere, and they're about to land, so we'll see what happens with that. Or not. Nope, just missed it. Of course, the English army was royally defending the Outer Hebrides, in case the French decide to navally invade there. And there we go, the British army are on these ships. So they are going to be going off to attempted naval invasion. There we go, they're landing in Calais. Let's see how the French respond. Calais may take them a while. The second now, not quite with the disease outbreak. This is actually quite problematic for the British, since I believe they don't exactly have any manpower. Nope, they have none. So every disease outbreak hurts them quite a bit here. It might actually be their eventual downfall. Especially if they keep taking attrition on Calais, which refuses to fall for the third siege tick in a row, fourth siege tick in a row. I'm starting to get very large flashbacks to a Silton Fort video I did. And there we go, that's done, and they're off. They're going straight for the French armies, quite unapologetically here, I believe. No, unless they're not. They've just changed their mind. What are they doing? Okay, they are just walking around the French countryside? Oh, okay. No, where are you going? Where are you going? I think they're going to... They see the French in Lyonnais and then they realize they can't catch them, so they walk away. Oh, but they are going to catch them in Brabant. Let's see that. Yeah, that's an instant sack wipe. Followed by... Oh, the French here, and yep, that 9 on the shop. Oh god. Yep, just immediate slaughter. Not even close. Morale difference. Whew. Killing thousands by the take there. They managed to not get staffed by that, which is quite impressive. But they've just killed 30,000, give or take. Taking minimal casualties themselves. Pretty impressive. Unfortunately, oh no, they're retreating to Paris. No, they're not going to run them down to Paris. Okay, to be fair, they might be forward zoned here, so that might be it. But damn, yeah. 210% discipline, it's pretty good. The British can skill issue around and attack into mountains, or in this case hills, crossing rivers without any major issues, and still just get away with stack wipes on equal trooper counts. Only when they're outnumbered 4-1 do the French actually manage a retreat. That's going to be it though for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye!